Hello my friends, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. Today's video is all about tickets. Help desk tickets. We're going to work on some of the most common ones that come through the system. So if you're into help desk, by the end of this video, you will know how to work help desk pretty much. I mean, there are going to be some of the most common things that will come across. I promise you that. So it's going to be a longer video. This is why it's going to be a premiere video. So if you want to interact with me on the right side where the chat is, you can too. But if not, well, sorry to have missed you. But if you have comments or questions, feel free to leave them below as well. I'll gladly help you out with whatever you need. One thing to keep in mind, the way I teach IT is very particular, very proactive, and very easy to follow. This is what kind of separates me from other people, which is perfectly fine. People have different ways of teaching things, but the way I do it is in a very proactive way. Not only do I talk about on how to fix a computer problem, but also how to deal with the customer at the same time while you're doing so. So I hope you like that type of style. Alright, that being said, please take 1 second to like this video. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, and let's get into this awesome video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that there is a lot to do here. We have what looks to be 12 tickets that we're going to work in this entire session. So keep in mind, if you're watching this while it's premiering, while this video is premiering, I am in the chat box as well. So if you want to interact with me, ask me any questions while we are watching this video together, feel free to do so. I am available to answer any of the questions that you might have, or if you just want to say hi, that's perfectly fine too. I more than welcome that. I love to hear from you guys. Okay, so we have a lot of tickets, guys, and now we have to prioritize. Of course, we have to use common sense here, and we're going to go for the tickets that came in first. The way we can tell is by looking at the date and time, but we can also look at the ticket number. So that being said, we're going to select this one, which is ISD 15. We're going to work that one first. Of course, if you see a ticket that says big system outage, make sure you prioritize that because it's affecting more people. It's going to impact more people, so you make sure you prioritize that. Otherwise, you just work tickets in the order received. All right, first ticket we have here, it's called PDF files don't open. Of course, make sure that you assign the ticket to yourself when you're working it so you can get credit for it. The title of this one says PDF files do not open or don't open. And in the description it says, for some reason PDF files do not work. So what do you guys think the issue is here? I'm going to allow a few seconds here in case you're interacting live with me or watching this video to for you to give me the answer. But I'm going to also keep it moving at the same time, but give you a little bit time to answer before I actually give you the answer for this. While you guys do that, I'm going to reply to customer and I'm going to get some information from them first. First, I'm going to introduce myself. Hello. My name is Irvin with, why I can't spell today, with help desk support. I have your ticket about PDF files not working. Can you please send me your computer name or IP address? So when I reply to this customer and I click save here, it's going to send them an email and it's going to ask them this information that I am inquiring about. And the reason for that is because in this situation, we're going to have to access their computer with remote desktop in order to resolve this issue. Sometimes we can fix these things just by telling them on how to fix it, but it's preferable, if possible, for you to actually fix it and not necessarily tell the user how to fix it. If you have to, that's fine. Of course, this is going to depend on the company that you work for. Depends on what the requirements are. But chances are, if you're help desk, you're going to take control of their computer, take a look at the problem, and resolve it as quickly as possible. So for that to happen, for us to use remote desktop, we're going to need their computer name or IP address. Both of those things are valid for us to use in order to access their computer remotely. So in this case, PDF files do not work. So number one thing that usually happens is that PDF reader is not installed. So Adobe program is not installed that allow us to view PDF files. A lot of times that's the main thing. Or there are alternative software that they can be used to view PDF files, but chances are this is what's happening. Second thing that can happen is that it's file association thing. You may have Adobe installed on the computer, but if it's still not, or if the PDF files are still not using Adobe Reader to open or nothing happens, that means we need to change the file association. We're going to change that right now. Now keep in mind that when it comes to dealing with users or customers, follow the instructions that they have on the ticket on how they prefer to be contacted. In this case, all I did was reply to their request because I know that this will send them an email. However, they may sometimes specify they want to be contacted via phone, or they just want maybe some kind of an instant message. Most companies are going to have some kind of instant messaging system, or they just want email reply. Whatever their preferences are, make sure you follow that to the T. Very important, because this is what user feels most comfortable with. In this case, we send them an email, and once we get a reply, and let's say since this is a fictional customer, let's say we do get a reply, and let's say maybe we are talking to them. Maybe the customer said that the PC name is COBUMAN1. So what I'm going to do in that case, I'm going to add an internal note for us as in tech support people to have on file. So I'm going to say user's PC name is Kobuman1. So I'm going to use that to access this Kobuman1 PC and then see what's going on. All right, now let's look at that system. All right, here we are inside of the system. I'm going to show you how you would check for this. First thing I'm going to do is just search for Adobe. Adobe Reader shows up right there. So that's good. We know Adobe's installed. If it's not installed, we're going to reinstall it, given that your company allows for Adobe Reader to be installed, which chances are it will be. If it's still not working, I'm just going to open up File Association, which is also known as Default Apps in Windows. There is also a File Association different window that kind of looks like this, but this is what it is now in Windows 10. As soon as this loads, we're going to look for PDF. So I'm just going to scroll down, and we're going to look on the left-hand side here for .pdf extension. So if we scroll down, it should be here. Here we go, O, and then we're approaching P, so should be here shortly, PDF. There it is, PDF. We can now see that PDF in this case is actually opened in Microsoft Edge. We simply click on that and change it to Adobe Reader. There you go, problem solved. Some people prefer for PDF to be opened up in a browser, which is fine too. You just ask them what they want. All right, that ticket is resolved. I'm going to add internal note, changed file association. Sorry guys, I can't concentrate on spelling today properly, but good thing we have that red underline thing. I can just right click, change file association to allow PDF to change file association to resolve PDF issues. That's fine. We know what we did. So if anybody else looks at that, whether it's your boss or somebody has to refer to it, to that ticket and see what you did, they'll know what you did. So Issue resolved. We're going to close this ticket as such. So yeah, keep in mind, follow the rules of what the customer prefers to be, with the rules that in which customer prefers to be talked to. Very important. Stay very professional when you're working tickets for any company, and always be polite. All right, moving on. So we're going to work on this number 16. We worked 15, so we're going to work this one. It says website is super slow. And then in the description it says every website I open is super slow. So what could that be, guys? Tell me if you're watching this in a if you're watching this while it's premiering. See, most of the time when we think of websites running slow, we think of internet, right? We think of internet, and yeah, that's one of the most logical things we can, consider as causing the problem, which would be slow internet, right? But internet may not necessarily be slow. Maybe there's something going on the computer that could be causing this. Again, this is one of those things we can resolve. In my opinion, the best way to resolve it is to actually take a look at the system again. So we're going to go in here again to say, hello, my name is Irvin. We're contacting the customer again with tech support. I can help you with slow website issue. Can you please provide PC name or IP address so that I can take a look? We're going to do it like this, guys. So, as I said, the main thing to kind of consider as a website running slow, and in this case, every website is running slow. It's not just a specific website. So it's not an issue with just one website. It's all websites. Yes, internet could be running slow, and that could be the main reason. But there could be also something in the background that's taking up this bandwidth for the internet, or not just necessarily in internet, because in this case, user or customer might be considering internet as in every website that they access, while a lot of websites might be internal. So even if it's just even if they say that every website is running slow, that may not necessarily be the case. So that's one thing that you might want to consider checking, is that you could be just internal websites. So let's say they have 5 different websites that are only for them, for that business. So that's the first thing I would check and ask as well. When I'm as a follow-up after I get their PC name, is it all website really, or is it just the internal ones that you use most of the time? Because sometimes users don't know the difference between internet and intranet, while the intranet is being the internal websites. Anyways, there are other things that could be causing it. So if it's just a local network that's causing the issue, that's something to consider. So let's again pretend that we got a same PC name. Cobbleman1 is user's PC name. We got an internal note. And the way you put these notes in, it's going to be up to you. As long as you make sure that everything you do is listed in there professionally and in a descriptive manner, so that when somebody looks at it, they can tell exactly what you did. I know I keep repeating myself on these things, but it's very important, guys. So we're going to pretend that that's the PC name, simply because I don't want to show everything on this main PC, because this is your main PC that you're working with. So in this case, we're role playing. Okay, here we are at user's computer. Again, the same PC name that we're going to use. So I made videos on this too before, but yeah, make sure that check and double check to see which websites are slow. If it's an internal network, if it's internal websites, then there's an issue with your network. You may have to contact the network team. That's another issue. But a lot of times it's just the updates that are coming down for some reason, and it could be related to the fact that maybe user hasn't left the computer on, or didn't, or turned the computer off when it's not being in use. So whenever they turn it on, it tries to install all these updates. And as you can see, there is an update here waiting to happen. And then of course, you can also open up their task manager and just look at their performance, see if there's anything taking up bandwidth. And here we are, just kind of looks like by default we have selected Ethernet adapter, and then we can see what kind of activity we have going on right now. Right now it looks to be, just normal usage because I'm using RDP, remote desktop, so you will expect to see this type of usage, but nothing crazy. We know that this is not even 1 megabit per second speed, so this seems normal. And then you can test the websites, see what's going on, and to kind of go about it in that way. Look at the processes, see if there's anything working in the background that's taking up a lot of CPU power. They can also make it seem like the websites are running slow. If the CPU utilization is really high, that could be the problem. If you see that, look at what is using the CPU bandwidth or CPU power in that case, and then resolve that issue in that manner. But again, internet is running slow. Check their bandwidth speed. You can do a bandwidth test to see what's going on. I don't want to do it right now because it will reveal my current IP address, but you can go to Google and just type in bandwidth test. You can do a bandwidth test. If that looks sketchy, you can look into that. There are many other things that can cause this, but the ones I've mentioned here are the main reason for this to happen. So just kind of look at these things, see if there is anything actually on the computer causing the problem. If everything looks fine on the computer itself, like this is perfectly normal, that could mean that there is some kind of a network issue, in which case I would possibly route this ticket to tier 2, so that way they can reach out to the network people. So network team, they would reach out to the network team and say, there's something going on. But the chances are you would have multiple users reporting the same issue. That's, but you can also look if you have a setup in the system for your company. There might be a place or just like a web page that keeps track of critical issues that are happening right now. You can check that page to see if there are any network issues, this and that. This is a really good start to get you going in the right direction, to make sure that there's something going on with the computer first, because that's your job. Your help desk, tier 1 and maybe tier 2, but this is your job to make sure there's nothing going on the PC that could be causing the problem, and move on from there. All right, in this case we're going to role play and just assume that there are no issues. There are no issues at the moment. This also happens a lot of times where somebody reports slowdowns with the websites, but then if it was some kind of a background process like updates or something in the background that required extra bandwidth or even CPU bandwidth, it may seem like website issue, but it could, by the time you get to it, it might be just fine. So yeah, again, I can't stress this enough. Check all these things first before you put a note down like this at the moment, and then depending on your environment, what I do, which I'm allowed to do at my current employer, I can say I will keep the ticket open for 24 hours to monitor. So I'm allowed to do this at my level. Some help desk places, they don't want you to keep the tickets open at all, in which case you may have to close the ticket right away. So I'm going to leave this ticket open for the time being. I'm going to change its status to waiting for support. Waiting for support. Well, that's us. We can't do that. So I'm trying to think here. You know what? Since I don't see appropriate status here, I'm just going to leave it in waiting for support. The ticketing system I use at my work has something a lot more specific things that you can actually select. But since we're limited with this current ticketing system for demonstration, I'm going to leave it waiting for support and just kind of keep track of it. It's assigned to me. I'm going to keep track of it. That's what matters. So we're going to move on from this ticket here. Okay. Let's see here. The next one is ISD 17. It says my documents are missing. All right, let's have a look. And again, we're going to make sure that it's assigned to us. Very important. And it says here, my documents are missing. I found that my documents are missing. Very simple. So this person or this reporter is saying that their documents are missing. We're going to have to figure out which documents are they talking about. So I'm going to reply to customer. Again, follow the instructions given to you by the customer on how they prefer to be contacted. I'm going to say, hello, this is Irvin with PC support. I have your ticket about missing files. Can you please provide your PC name? So I actually done a video on this already, and for that I'm going to actually cut into that so you guys can, it's the same deal as this. I just want to kind of use it because this is going to be a very long video, as you guys already know. So I'm going to use my previously made video that's literally dealing with this same issue. So I'm going to just kind of plug it in there, and then we're going to continue after that. But for now, I'm just going to leave it at this, and I'm going to close the ticket. But yeah, again, I'm going to show you the video of something that I've done exactly like this, so you guys can know how to deal with that. So I'm going to close it completed, and we're going to now concentrate on this second ticket. All right, let's click on this ticket. This ticket is called I am missing internet shortcuts folder. And then if you look in the descriptions, we can see that it says internet folder is missing from my desktop. So in this case, there is a folder, or there was a folder on their desktop that, you know, it was deleted or just simply gone. Who knows? Maybe it was moved somewhere. That happens sometimes too. User would just accidentally, you know, for example, they would, like, if you look at over here, they would drag it somewhere and it would go God knows where, you know. So typically you would say, hey, can you check your recycle bin? Go inside of your recycle bin and check if it's in there, you know, this and that. And yeah, definitely do all of that stuff. But if it's not there and you know it's just one of those things that you may have a copy of, you know, let's say you can't find it, and then but you can find a copy of, you can ask them, hey, does anybody else have a copy of it? Maybe I can copy it over, because it's just internet shortcuts. We can certainly do that. Again, we're going to have to get some information from them before we can proceed further. But we're going to role play, and then first thing, of course, we're going to do assign a ticket to ourselves, and then we're going to reply to customer. Hello, this is Irvin with US, or you can say tech support, doesn't matter. You know, let's do tech support. With tech support, or, you know, you can say help desk, you know, whatever your situation might be. Can you please provide your PC name so that I can restore your folder? Thank you. Thanks you. Thanks, Irvin. Okay. So now user has been asked, or you can call them, you can talk to them. Again, we're going to go back to the user, and you know, we're going to get that PC name, and in this case we're going to pretend that the same PC name is Cobbleman, so we're going to keep doing that. The PC, let's do this. Users PC name is Cobbleman1. All right. So kind of same thing, and I'll show you something else just in case this doesn't work. We can go back into his you know, desktop, and then we can just copy paste whatever it is that they need. So let's pretend that actually let's go ahead and just create a quick folder called internet shortcuts, and now we're just going to copy pasta onto his desktop. Okay, now let's go to his computer. Now we're at his computer and we can say, hey, can you please check to see if the internet shortcuts is back? And sure enough, there it is. These are just the typical ones that I go for when it comes to resolving issues like this real quick whenever I'm working tickets. Whenever, I work as a business system analyst, but I do work on tickets, especially nowadays, now that we're working from home. So they need more assistance. So this is what I do mostly nowadays, simply because different times, different times, guys. So now I'm just going to finish my ticket here. Made a copy of internet folder to desktop. Whatever you want to put in there, as long as it's detailed enough so that if somebody looks at it, like your boss knows what you did. And I'm going to resolve this and mark it complete. Okay, now that we're done with that type of ticket, let's move on to this 18 here. It says, I need to have Oracle DB, Oracle database, installed on my computer. I'm going to assign it to myself and we're going to work it. We're going to keep it going, guys. We're just going to keep it going. All right. It says I need to have Oracle DB installed on my computer, and same thing repeated in the description, and it's this guy named Mike Moser. All right, Mike. So you got to be careful with this, because when it comes to installing third-party software, and in this case, Oracle database is a third-party software. No matter how you look at it, we have to make sure that it's okay for you to install this for them. So what we're actually going to do, and preferably you'd want to talk to the customer over the phone. This is how I prefer it. You can do it any way you like. You can send an email, a reply to them. You can send them an instant message and see if you can get more information. But what would you guys do? How would you guys handle this? You got to be very, very careful, because we can't just install Oracle database on their computer without permission. So here are a couple of different things that could be happening here. Mike Moser, he may already have a license to install Oracle DB, and he already maybe has requested it through proper channels, and maybe he just doesn't know how to install it, and he already has all of these permissions. So we're going to ask him this. We're going to start with this. Hello, you guessed it, my name is Irvin. You're going to be doing this a lot, except you're going to be using your own name, of course. With PC support, I have your ticket about installing Oracle DB. Do you have, or let's do this. There are many ways of doing this. Did you request a license for this software? Or, and we can send this, or depends how it is on in your business, in your setup in your business. You can also say, before I install this software, I have to check to see if it's on approved software list. So if you send a message to him like this, it kind of gives it almost like open-ended, in the sense that customer may reply to you and say, hey, I already have it, I just need it installed. meaning that I already have it approved. Of course, you have to check that real quick. And then sometimes you may have to install it manually. But also, Mike might actually already have it installed. Might even have it installed already on his computer, in which case he may need help with configuration, which is not necessarily something that you as help desk tier 1 would be able to do. But if you're doing desktop support or tier 2 help desk, you should be able to configure software. In this case, Oracle database, you may need like things like database driver installed or something like that, and I'll show you that as soon as I'll show you that briefly as soon as I kind of talk about this part of it. But when it comes to help desk tier 1, you have to make sure, number 1, that it's approved, and number 2, that you install it for them, whatever that might be. You may have a program that handles pushing of the software to the computers, and you may need to help them subscribe their computer to this piece of software. Subscribe meaning that basically you tell the system that his computer name, and remember we use Cobbleman1 as a computer name a lot, that has that computer, Cobbleman1, subscribed to Oracle DB. So what in that case, it should automatically install itself. But it also, what he might mean is actually configuration. So I have to check that. But when it comes to just simple installation, you should be able to handle this as help desk tier 1. Now let me just show you briefly what I mean by setting up Oracle database. I'm just gonna, it's a little bit slightly off topic, but I do want to show you when it comes to configuration. This is done through administrative tools here on the computer itself, and it's done here under one of these. So let's say you're installing or configuring Oracle database driver, it would be somewhere in here. And what happens is that you would have the Oracle driver in here. For example, in here, you would have a Oracle driver that's already in there, and then you configure it whatever the system that you want. So you would just click add, and then you would select which one you want to use, and then you go in through the configuration, set up the ports, IP addresses, server names, or whatever it needs to be. So if you're not comfortable with that, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to be the guy that does it. It just depends on the level and the requirements for the company. Again, this is possibly help desk tier 2. Definitely desktop support person would actually deal with this. Okay, I'm going to go back to that system. All right, but in this case, we're going to assume that he just wanted it installed, so we went ahead and installed it. I'm going to add internal node. Install. Well, let's do this. Subscribed PC to Oracle DB means that we told the internal system to go ahead and push, and the internal system or internal setup has approved it for it to be installed. And then I'm going to do this installed software as requested. Okay. And now we're going to close the ticket as complete. All right. Easy peasy. Moving on to number 19. My computer is freezing twice a day. Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay. And my computer is freezing twice a day. So this kind of related to our websites are kind of running slow. Excuse me. Ticket, in the sense that chances are that this is just Windows updates causing the problem. So I believe I have a video on this. I will show you kind of a clip from that on how to check for issues like this where the computer is causing problems. So I'm just going to plug that in here. Because it talks about the exact same thing, what you should check in order to see why computer is running slow and why it's happening in this case twice a day. So I'm going to cut the clip into that. Then we're going to continue with our ticket number 20. In the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and close this ticket. But then again, don't worry, I'll show you how to do this and how to check on this ticket and how to resolve it. Hello my friends, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. In today's video we take a look at a call handling for help desk tier 1, in which case user has a slow computer. I will show you the call handling and I will show you what I did to resolve the issue as well. Friends, if you have a 1 second, please click the like button. I really appreciate it. This way I'm not going to bother you with any ads at this point. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. So let's get to it. I'm going to play the call, and at certain times I will pause the call itself and show you what I'm doing on the backhand in order to help this user. This was going to be a fun video, guys. Let's get into it right away. Thank you for calling Help Desk Tier 1 Support. My name is Irvin. How can I help you today?
Hi, my computer is running really slow. Is there something you can help me with this? For some reason, it's just so slow today that I can't do anything. No matter what I do, everything is really slow.
Sure thing. What's going on? When did you start having this issue?
It started happening this morning. It was fine yesterday, and then today, for some reason, it's just very sluggish. I can't do anything. I really need this to be fixed so I can do my job.
All right, no problem. I can have a look to see what's going on. Can you give me your PC name?
My PC name, uh,
Yeah, it should be under your PC information, or even there might be a sticker on your computer or something like that. It'll be either combinations of numbers or letters. If you can give me that, please, I'd appreciate it.
sure, I think I see it here. It says TM C3565830.
All right, thank you very much for that. Sir, do you mind if I take control over your computer just for a moment? I want to see what is going on and see if we can figure out what's causing this issue for you.
Sure, go ahead. All
All right, let's pause the phone call just for a second here. So the user is talking about a slow computer. So it's a slow computer situation. So what is the major reason for a slow computer? In a business environment, most of the time when a computer is slow, it's because of an update. So let's get a look at the updates that we can look up here, and we're going to just type in updates and check for Windows updates. And sure enough, guys, we have some pending restarts for an update for a Windows 10 update. So what typically happens is that Windows tries to update, or the computer itself tries to update overnight, but for some reason it's not able to do so when the computer is not being used, meaning that it tries to do this in after hours when the computer is not being used. But chances are, if the computer was turned off, shut down, asleep, or any of those reasons, it probably couldn't install these updates. So now we got to get back to the user and let them know that this is what was the cause of this, and explain to them what we can do to resolve this issue. Of course, if your company has a specific tool that pushes updates to your computer, you would also check that to see if anything failed, because it's not just Windows updates that could be causing this, but updates for other software, and chances are there is a different way to control that within the company that you work for. It would be company specific, so you would have to check that as well. Other reasons for a slow computer is highly unlikely in a business environment. For example, like not enough RAM, this and that. That's not usually what happens in a business. That's something that home computers may have issues with. For a business type of computer, they're going to be up to spec, and the main reason for it to be in slow is updates. Of course, there's another reason, being a virus, but getting a virus in a business environment is so unlikely, it's unbelievable. So, updates, main thing. Let's get back to the customer and tell him about that. All right, sir. So what I found is that your computer was trying to get updates, but it's not able to. So at this time, we need to reboot your computer so you can finish Windows updates. This typically happens whenever your computer is either asleep and it can't get a chance to get its updates overnight. Usually computers get updates overnight when people are not working during after hours where, it's not a, peak business hours or anything like that. So, but sometimes when the computer's asleep or turned off, or if it's shut down, it may not be able to get its updates. So what we got to do is just kind of wait for it to finish its updates. And I have a feeling once we reboot, it should be done. It'll probably be much faster. But yeah, that's what usually happens, and that should resolve your issue. So go ahead and reboot, and if that doesn't work, then we can help you further. See if that works.
All right, I'll give it a shot. All right, I'll go ahead and reboot now and then see what happens.
All right, great. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that.
Okay, looks like I can log in now.
All right, great. Go ahead and log in and we'll see how it goes. Now keep in mind, we just rebooted the computer, so it may be a little bit slow in the beginning, but it should be fine afterwards. Usually when we're rebooting the computer, it kind of clears the memory. So in that case, it may take a little bit just to log in, but afterwards it should be fine.
Okay. All right, I'm logged in.
Great. All right, let's see if it's running any better for you here.
All right, I'm checking. All right, so far so good. Tell you what, it's definitely faster than it was this morning. I don't. Okay, yeah, it seems to be fine now. So let me see if I can pull up my email and a couple other systems that I use just to make sure before I let you go.
Sure thing, no problem, sir. Take your time here.
Okay, okay. I think I'm good now. Thank you so much. It's I appreciate your help on this.
Hey, no problem, sir. Again, sometimes this just happens whenever computers shut down. The best advice I can give you is that whenever you're at the end of the day, whenever you're done using the computer, just go ahead and like reboot it or sign off, because sometimes the computer wouldn't even update properly, even if you're signed into the computer for some reason. But the best thing to do is just to reboot the computer, and that should kind of be a proactive thing we can do here to kind of prevent this type of thing from happening.
All right, will do. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
All right, no problem. Have a good day. Thank you for calling tech support. Bye bye. Well, there you have it, guys. That's how you handle this type of call. I hope you find this very useful. This is a real world example, guys, so I hope you really do find this useful, because this is exactly what's going to happen whenever you do start doing your help desk tier 1 tech support. All right, guys. So let's take a brief break. This is a good opportunity for us to take I suppose, couple of minute break if you guys want to, run somewhere real quick and come back. If you're watching this as a premiere along with me. And I hope you guys are liking this stuff so far. I believe it's very valuable because I'm showing you real life stuff that actually happens. I've said this before, and I know you guys that are watching me on a regular know that I normally work as a business systems analyst, but right now in this current situation we're in, working from home, I'm mostly doing tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 or whatever help desk, but tech support in general for whoever might need issues. So this is a real world experience, and if you like it, please click the like button and share this video with your friends if you have time. If you don't have time, for me, if you just click the like button is also very, very, very helpful, and I really appreciate that so much. What do you guys think so far? If you're watching this in a premiere, during the premiere of the video, please say, please, you don't have to, but if you want to say something in the chat, I more than welcome it. Otherwise, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment sections below. And if you check out my channel, there's going to be a lot more stuff, not just how to teach you, not just teaching you the help desk job, but also how to get these type of jobs. They could be help desk, desktop support, system administration, network administration, project management, There's so much. I think I have almost like 400 videos, and they're all longer format, similar to this. I do have hardware videos if you're into computer hardware and stuff like that. I do have those. They're pretty popular as well. Okay, that's it for our break. Let's go ahead and continue and just kind of power through these tickets, guys. We got to make sure we work these tickets. All right, moving on to ISD 20. And this one says here, I close my documents without saving. Oh boy. You love to see these type of tickets because there is there is not a whole lot you can do with this. The problem is, you guys know this. If you haven't saved something, chances are it's gone. There are a few exceptions. Some programs automatically create a save file and it creates a copy of it. In which case, you would go through and see if you can recover it like that. Another thing is, and these are things we have to think about before we even reach out to Mike. Before we even reach out to this user, we have to think like this, proactively think, very proactive, because we're going to have to try to see if we can recover any of this stuff. The biggest issue here is, if we're going to have to confirm this, is that they closed the document without saving. And if there is no automatic save feature in that program, there's nothing we can do. However, sometimes people will actually do the opposite. They would save the document and overwrite what's in there already. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, maybe there is a backup of that same file somewhere that they can look at and compare and see which one is more valuable to them. Because this is a really awkward situation. You got to be very careful with this. So we're going to reply to customer, because in reality, there's really not a whole lot we can do to help this customer, unfortunately. Hello, my name is Irvin with Help Desk. Let's do tier 1 like this. And you guys can do whatever you like, as long as it's appropriate. I have your ticket about closing a document without saving it. Did you happen to save it somewhere else? Or did you just close the window? See, this is, you can't, I'm going to put a smiley face there, because chances are we're going to have to tell him here that we can't help him. So sometimes it's okay to use these emoticons to kind of prepare the user that once you give him the bad news, is that it's not your fault per se. So I'm going to send this. It would be different if they just deleted an entire document, which, we touched on previously, and that there will be places where you can, restore it, whether it's just from Windows restore point. Because what happens is, when you create a Windows restore point on a computer, it also creates copies. And if you set it up to do it regularly, it'll create copies and backups of every file that you've created and edited at some point. So you can go back and pick an older one and, this and that. But in this case, they literally just closed the window as far as we can tell. So when they come back and say, yes, I closed it without saving my work that I typed in all day, then we may have to say, unfortunately, we don't Sorry about that, guys. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to recover that file. Once you close the window like that, it is gone forever. Not smiley face. So, and to make them feel better, you can say, however, I can take a look at your PC to see if I can find a time-based backup. Saved backup. But I am not 100% sure there is something there. So you got to give him something. You can word it any way you want. Just make sure you're very understanding and polite about this, because chances are, again, that there's nothing you can do about this. So do all you can to help them out. See if you can find it, and if not, then it's just tough luck. What can you say? Don't tell this to the customer. Just be polite, but do the best you can, and to help them out. That's all you can do in this ticket. And then once you do it, you just close it. I mean, this is one of those situations you will come across that happen, that simply happen. Part of working help desk is to actually be in these awkward situations occasionally. Not all the time, but occasionally. All right, guys, let's move on. Number 21 here. ISD number 21. Computer shuts down multiple times a day. Now, I'm going to have to refer this one to being related to either, well, okay, let me ask you guys, what do you guys think this might be? To give you a little moment to, or, to give some people a chance to actually answer this if you're watching this as a premiere video. While you guys give me a reply, I'm going to assign it to myself, and I'm going to reply to customer, and I'm going to ask them, hello. Well, I'm going to say who I am first. With PC support. When your computer shuts down, does it give you any error, or does screen simply go dark, or nothing happens? You know what? Let's leave this. This is way more descriptive, and it's to a point. So, all right. Going to have to refer you to my video here, or part of the video where I talked about updates, because this can happen if it's just a regular update. You get an update and it wants to reboot multiple times. This happens usually when computer's been turned off overnight and now it's getting updates. That's number one reason. Number two reason, bad hardware. If they come back and say it just goes dark, screen goes black, nothing happens, it shuts down multiple times, then chances are that this is hardware issue. In this case, we would have to say this. It sounds like it could be a hardware issue. We will need to perform let's be very descriptive, hardware diagnostic on this computer. So we're going to have to say this, and we're going to have to run hardware diagnostic. There are different ways of doing this. On, for example, some computers, I want to say HPs, maybe some Dells, when you reboot the computer and when you hear the beep when it's posting, you can press, for example, I don't know, F8, F9, F11. I forget exactly which key it is, but it gives you to kind of a boot menu, but also gives you an ability to perform hardware diagnostic. In this case, if the computer just shuts down like this randomly, no warning, nothing, it just goes dark, it's a hardware issue. To me, there's no doubt about that. There's nothing else that it could be. But it could be overheating, so the computer could be just dusty inside, dirty, maybe what's his face needs to be changed, like the heat sink and the fan. Maybe they need to be taken off, cleaned out. The thermal paste that connects to the CPU needs to be changed, and yeah, stuff like that when it comes to heat. The second thing is that happens mostly and causes this shutdown is hard drive. Hard drive simply starts going bad and it just randomly shuts down. So it's either one of those things at random. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that you have to do some kind of a hardware diagnostic, and then that's going to depend on what kind of tools you have available to you as help desk. There might be something else you have to do when it comes to resolving this issue. This user may have to actually take their computer to a designated office or place where they would physically bring their laptop to. If this is a person that is working from home, for example. If they're not, if they're working in an office environment, their local IT support, their local IP support, IT, not IP, information technology support or tech support will have to do a diagnostic and figure out what is going on with their hardware. Every office will have one of these guys, maybe not there, but maybe a guy that travels between locations that will deal with this. Chances are, if it's hardware, if their computer is under warranty, maybe even a technician from, for example, HP or Dell would check on this and see what's going on when it comes to possible hardware issues. So that's how I would go about it. There's really nothing for me to show you here because you would literally just do a diagnostic. For example, you open up a menu and you select test hardware. If it's one of those type of diagnostic software, or if it's pre-boot software, or you can specifically tell it test hard drive, test RAM, test motherboard. It's as simple as that, and it will tell you if there are issues with that. And you can also look at device manager and look at there. This is what you could also do. I'm sorry, I'll have to actually tell you what to do. I'm going to go to the computer and let's do this here. Let's do this here because I don't want to leave this one just without actually showing you something and not just, I don't want to just explain it. I'm going to say this: user's PC name is Cobbleman1. All right, let's go to it. All right. Here we are at Cobbleman1. We're going to go to the device manager. I'm sorry, we're going to go to event viewer. We can also do this in the event viewer. What we're actually looking for is Windows logs, Windows system logs, and we're going to look for errors that come up. And these are typical errors that show up when there's a hard drive going bad. So we're going to I'm going to find something here that kind of looks similar to it. I forget the exact the event ID, but it will be blatantly obvious to you when it comes up. See, this computer doesn't have any errors as far as I can tell. See, it will be related to something like this. You see, it says NTFS file system is healthy, no action is needed. When there is something wrong, there would be a red icon here that tells you that there are some issues going on here. You can also go to a reliability monitor. I talked about that in my previous video. See, here are some warnings here. Something like this, but it will be red. There it is, errors. Here we go. There are always errors, guys. See, these are all talking about different things. Most of these are actually normal, but what you're looking for is a source, as in, and then look at the source here, and then look at the file system. Anyways, this is stuff you would be looking for specifically when it comes to file issues. See, this one doesn't have that. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with this PC when it comes to NTFS file system. But when it comes to source, this is what you would kind of look for and see if there are any errors coming up like that. And they'll be very descriptive, just like the one I showed you earlier here where it talks about NTFS file system. It would say there is an issue with, some kind of NTFS file system issue. So it's going to be very apparent, and then in description you can see, just like every time you click on something here, you can see the description of what's going on here. So this is what you're going to have to look for, and there'll be a lot of them. Trust me, if there's an issue with hard drive, there's going to be a lot of them here. And then you can just go to a reliability monitor. Reliability monitor. It's being stupid. Control panel. Reliability monitor is inside of, where is our? I think it's security maintenance. And where is it? Security network. Man, I recently did. I'm getting tired, guys. This video is getting long. I'm getting tired. I think it's probably been an hour. Maintenance. It's here somewhere. Reliability monitor. Here we go. Security and maintenance. View reliability history. There it is. Reliability monitor. So I was in the right place. I just didn't see this reliability button. And you may have seen like stuff like this. You see this hardware error right here, actually. You see that? There's a red X, and that's how it's going to look in the event viewer as well. Hardware error. Let's see what this one talks about. See, there's an error, and it's going to be something similar to this. Anyways, guys, I don't want to beat the dead horse, as they say, on this issue. So what we're going to do is simply run the diagnostic or have somebody else at local level to actually do the hardware diagnostic. So I'm going to add internal note here, and I'm going to say routed issue to local PC support to troubleshoot hardware issues. Save, and I would route it from here, but I don't see that option in this system, unfortunately. Anyways, I would route the ticket to the other support people to troubleshoot it. So in this case, I'm just going to close it as completed, so it leaves the system. But yeah, make sure you route it to the proper people. All right, so what's next? ISD 22, I believe, is the next one. And it says USB drive not working. Let's have a look. Okay. We're going to assign it to ourselves, of course. It says USB drive not working, and it says nothing happens with the USB stick inserted. And the way we're going to handle this is going to be based off whether the business that customer is working for allows for external media to be plugged in, whether it's headsets or USB drives or any type of external storage. So that's going to be a factor here, most likely. So what do you guys think the issue is here? It says nothing happens when USB stick is inserted. So what do you think might be the case? I mean, maybe the USB drive's not working, but there might be something else. What do you guys think? Yeah, it's another one that we may have to handle in a particular way, depending on the situation that we're actually dealing with. We know that it's a USB drive and that they're trying to insert it into the computer and nothing happens. So here's what's going on. Either the USB drive is not working, simply it's broken, or USB drive needs a driver, which is kind of unlikely because most of the USB drives that I've encountered, it's simple plug and play. You guys seen this. You plug it in, computer says, wait while we configure your drive. And then it configures it and then it asks you, what do you want to do now with this drive? How do you want it to open? And then you can tell it, okay, just open it up as a folder or something like that. Or a third thing where the company or company that this user works for simply does not allow any external media to be plugged into USBs, meaning that the USB port is disabled. So it could be one of those things. And if that's the case, there is nothing we can do about it. We can inform the customer that their company doesn't allow for USB sticks to be used. But the way I would say it, first, I would if it's a case, this is assuming that this is the case that it's not allowed for this company for company if it's not allowed by the company to use USB ports. This is what I would say. Hello, my name is Irvin with tech support. Unfortunately, our company has USB ports disabled as part of company security policy, which is perfectly fine. We can say that. But, you know, I have to assume that there are situations in which it is allowed. Let's say this is somebody high up. For example, this is some kind of manager or director level, and for some reason it's okay for them to have access to USB ports and use anything that they want. Now, that will be different, you know. But in most large companies, it's set up to detect whether it's a USB port or I should say whether it's not USB port, but whether it's a USB drive versus a USB headset or something like that. And in which case, it would know. You plug in a headset and it would just work, but still, once you plug in a USB drive, it would not work. So that's certainly possible, but sometimes you would also get a warning once you plug in a USB drive that says, hey, just so you know, you can use a USB drive, but we're going to scan everything that's on it. And once you plug it in, it starts to scan everything that's on it, which is fair. You know, you're using a company's computer and then you plug it in a USB drive. So that's what's going to happen. But in this case, we're going to say this to our user, and we're going to say, if you need further assistance, please let me know. Which I don't necessarily like to leave it open-ended like this because I'm going to close the ticket. But if we're trying to be nice about it and kind of trying to let them down easy because it's not our fault, we already told them, port is disabled as part of security policy. I wouldn't necessarily leave this open-ended like this, because that implies that you possibly could help them if they say, well, can you enable it for me? But we're going to say this. But when it comes to USB ports this is something controlled by security team. We want to put it on them because they're the ones that are placing these restrictions on the USB ports. We can assume again that they're okay, and then we can go inside of their computer. You know, the typical thing we've been doing so far. You know, asking what their computer name is, and then we go inside of their computer, like so. You can go to this PC and see what's inside of it, what's plugged in and what's not. So, and then if there is no USB drive visually that comes up, we can go to our device manager. Let's see, right click the desktop, the Windows icon, go to device manager. Then we can check for USB storage. We can see there is an unknown USB device there. So, and this could be what, you know, customer is talking about. This could be what user is talking about. Nothing happens when they plug it in, and we can see that when it comes to visually seeing what's going on, we can see that there is indeed nothing happens. But inside of the system, we can see that there's an issue. Windows has stopped this device because it has reported a problem, and it's a code 43. Now I know exactly what the problem is here, and we can certainly fix it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to fix it as I'm talking to you right now. This is actually on my next computer. So what I'm going to do is actually plug in, and I want you to pay attention to what happens here. I'm going to plug in because the USB stick that's actually plugged in over there is one of those that allows you to use different kinds of storage, SD cards or storage devices. So you can put in like a SD card of certain size, like a micro SD or whatnot. So I'm going to take one of those and plug it in over here as I am talking. And I hope you guys can hear me. And I'm going to plug it in. Hopefully. And something should be happening right now. And there it is. You see how it switched over? I actually plugged in a storage device into this USB stick, and now it came up, as you can see here, as a USB drive right there. So yeah, I mean, you basically go through the troubleshooting, and if I had to, yeah, I could have just gone in and just like updated this, you know, the whatever needs to be updated, the device driver if needed be, and you know, just go through the basic troubleshooting of fixing the USB. But chances are really high that it's simply disabled by the computer's local security policy, by the company's policy. So keep that in mind. All right. So as you can see, guys, I am actually trying my best to recreate the problem as much as I can. It's not easy because I have to literally recreate the problem for each thing that we talk about here, but it's my pleasure. I really want to make sure that you guys can learn as much as possible when it comes to dealing these actual issues that happen. All right, so I'm going to add internal note, and I'm going to say notified. I'm going to say notified user of company security policy in regards to USB ports. They are disabled by default. We're going to say that. It's not by default on the computer, but by default when it comes to security policy for this company. And I'm going to close it like that. And of course, if you just ended up fixing the USB drive, then that's what you're going to have to do, whether it's fixing it to show up like that or whether you need to go inside of disk management and create a partition on it, format it to FAT32, this and that. You guys know how to do this. That's one of those things that should be self-explanatory, but the biggest issue here is whether it's allowed to use a USB external storage. Because when you think about it, guys, imagine if you worked for some company and there's some sensitive data on the computer and you take your own personal USB stick, you plug it in, and you just copy everything over. Of course, it's going to be a big no-no. Okay, moving on. We got 4 more to work. Remember, this one in the middle here is something that we're waiting on when it comes to see what's going on. And the next one is ISD23. I'm going to click on this here. It says I can't hear people on my headset. And it says here specifically, people can hear me in meetings, but I can't hear them. So this is issue not with the microphone, but with their speaker on their headset specifically. So again, typical thing that we kept doing, that we are doing so far. This is Irvin with Help Desk. I can help you with headset issue. May I take control of your computer to fix it, or to resolve the issue, or whatever you want to, however you want to say it. If so, please send me your PC name or IP address. Now, something that I haven't mentioned before, customer may need help with finding what their PC name is or IP address. I'm going to mention that real quickly here as I go, and as we go into the computer, into user's computer, and check the settings for their headset. But we're going to do this. User's PC name is Cobbleman1. We're going to stick to that. Okay, so here we are inside of the user's computer. We know that he can't hear them. They can hear him. So it's not a mic issue. It's just a speaker issue. So it's very simple. You go in here, and if you click on the icon here of the audio icon next to the clock, you can simply make sure that it is selected. In this case, we can see that speakers is selected Plantronics 610, which is good. If we right click it, we can go to sound settings. Inside of sound settings, we have to make sure that the output is selected as speakers Plantronics 610. In this case, C610, I'm sorry, and then that the input is indeed selected for the same headset. We can definitely double check that with the user to see if that's the correct one, because they may have multiple things. What I like to do is go to actual sound control panel, which is right here. Open it here. Make sure there's nothing else installed. The way I check that is by right-clicking in the blank space and click Show Disabled Devices. There are no other devices on this computer enabled, so that's good. If there are, consider right-clicking and disabling it like this, so that way it doesn't conflict with the other one. But of course, make sure that the headset is enabled like this. Make sure that the microphone is enabled. You see how there is another thing here? We can ignore that because it's disabled. Check the microphone levels just to be sure. If everything else checks out here, and you obviously saw that something else was selected as the output, which is the speakers, then you switch it to the headset and then it should work fine. If still not working, you may have to go inside of the app that they're using for their meetings. So whether it's Zoom meeting, WebEx meeting, Google meeting, or Skype, or whatever it is, go inside of that and check to make sure that the proper audio equipment is selected. In this case, Plantronics C160. So whatever their headset is, we're going to make sure that that's selected for input and output microphone, and speakers. Very, very self-explanatory. If you want to see a more detailed with an example, with a different example of actual software, going inside a software and changing it. Recently I made one about Zoom, and I have one about WebEx as well. If you want to check that out, I do have that on my channel, but I don't want to go into that too much in this part of it because we are just working on the ticketing systems. So what we're going to do here, we're going to add internal note and say I have configured the headset and test it. Make sure it's tested before you let the customer go. That's it. This is a very simple one, but very common one. We're going to close the ticket. Okay. Very simple one. Oldie but goodie. That doesn't make sense. I don't know why I said that. Anyways. All right, here we go. ISD 24. My computer shuts down with blue screen. Uh-oh. We all know what that means. We all know what that means. Let me know if you know what that means. I know what that means. So, here we go. My computer shuts down with blue screen. Computer stops working randomly and shows me a blue screen with a smiley face. Blue screen with a smiley face. Let's see what that is, guys. Blue screen with smiley face. I'm just stalling here to give you guys with smiley face, sad face, I guess. I'm stalling to give you guys a chance to tell me in the comments if you're watching this as a premiere what the issue is. So, alright, we're just gonna put. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, guys. This is a blue screen of death. Blue screen of death. So we're gonna go back and we're just gonna make sure we're gonna talk to the customer. What I would do is actually try to reach out to them, kind of more personally, in the sense that I would either probably call them and talk to them and to make sure that it is indeed a blue screen of death. And I'm going to add internal note. I'm going to say talked to user and to confirm that the issue is blue screen of death. And then I'm going to recommend to user to recommended to user. Sorry guys, I'm getting tired. So I'm misspelling quite a bit. To user to take computer for hardware diagnostic to her local PC support. So again, similar to what we had earlier, where computer just shuts down randomly, nothing happens, and where we talked about sending user to local PC support that will check on their hardware. They're going to do hardware diagnostic because that's what it is. A blue screen of death, I found that 90% of the time is hardware related. A lot of times it's RAM or hard drive. It can be other things as well, but nonetheless it's hardware. We're going to want to test the hardware. As help desk, we really can't do a really good job when it comes to handling this type of stuff, because help desk is just like go 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 go. Let's resolve these issues as quickly as possible. If we can't resolve it quickly, and in this case we can't necessarily test your hardware properly unless we have specific tools given to us, there's nothing else we can do but to tell them that somebody at their local office will have to take it. Her local PC support is going to have to handle it, or if the computer is under warranty, their technician, HP technician, Dell technician, Lenovo technician will have to test it. She may have to take it to their store or whatever it is. It depends on how it is set up for the business that you're working for. It's as simple as that. And then I'm going to say routed ticket to local PC support. May not be the case. Maybe it, if we referred her to the vendor, then we want to specify that whatever the case might be, it's definitely hardware issue, and we need to do a hardware diagnostic on it. Okay, moving on. I'm going to close this ticket. And go back. We got a couple of more to do. Next one is my email is not working, by Mr. Mike Moser again. Oh, okay. This is an interesting one. You will get this quite a bit. And if you guys want to guess, I'll pause briefly by talking about it, and you guys can get a chance to actually guess what the issue might be. This is the pop-up the user gets, but first, email's not working. I gotta assign it to myself, so I can get credit for it. So that way I can get paid when my boss looks at the statistics, how many tickets I've done. So it is, my email is not working, and then it says Outlook is asking for my login and password. Why do you guys think that happens? If you're watching this in my premiere video, why do you think this happens? So they open up Outlook, and the first thing they see is this. They see this pop up. This is what happens. And it looks to be, I'm trying to open it here in a bigger, there it is. And it looks to be asking for their login ID and password, right? And it talks about credentials here. So that's what we're going to kind of concentrate on, because chances are what happened is, and we're going to ask the customer this. Hello, my name is Irvin with PC support. And by, chances are the Mike Moser here already knows us, knows who we are, so maybe we don't have to introduce ourselves in this case. But, if you don't know him, keep doing it. It's part of the job. I have your, sorry guys, ticket about email not working. Did you by chance change your password recently? So guys, this is exactly what I'm suspecting here, is that either his password, Mike's password, expired, and he changed it while he was already inside the Windows. Some companies provide you with a way to reset your password, especially if it's a single sign-on, meaning that company can have a single sign-on credentials set up for every system that they use, for which you can change the password on just a website. Like one of the websites will use that single sign-on. That single sign-on is going to be your domain login or your computer login. So when you go to a website that requires that single sign-on, also known as SSO, it's going to ask for your domain login. If your domain login's password expired that day, it's going to ask you to change that password. When you change your password on the website, your computer is not going to reflect that password necessarily right away. What do I mean by that? Your computer that you're logged in, you're still logged in with your old password. So what you have to do is actually do a Windows L and lock the computer, and then type in your new password before you open up other programs. If you don't, you get this pop-up. This is what happens. And maybe he locked himself out of the computer. So we're going to concentrate on that. And with the reply, I suspect it's going to be 99% chance that this is the issue. What we're going to do is actually go in and reset their password just to kind of get it going for them in case they forgot the password, because maybe they forgot the password, typed it in 10 times, and then now they're locked out and their Outlook doesn't have their current password, you know. But this mostly happens when they change the password and they don't know their new password, or it hasn't, again, replicated on their local computer. The websites that use the password are fine, but the system itself hasn't received the new password. And that's the issue here, most likely. So we're going to go inside of Active Directory. And this is my virtual server here. And I'm just going to log in real quick here. I'm going to open up Active Directory, Windows Admin Tools, and Active Directory users and computers. The company you work for doing help desk may have a just like a website or a tool that basically what it allows you to do is the same thing as I'm doing right now. It may not give you direct access to Active Directory at all, which is normal, which is unfortunate, but it's normal. So you may have different means, but you are basically doing exactly what I'm doing, and that is changing their password and unlocking their account just in case. So what I like to do is, you see the users folder on the right hand. So instead of searching through here to see where Mike Moser is, and I know I can see him there, but this could be populated with thousands of users. We don't know. So what I'm going to do is right click the folder. I'm going to click find. And then in search here, I'm going to type in Mike Moser. We can also ask him for his login ID, what he uses to log into the computer. And here he is. We found them right away. We don't have to search through thousands of different names. We found them right away. We're going to right click him, and then we're going to click reset password. So we're going to change the password. We're going to give him a new password. What I like to do is give him a simple password, like what is today? Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be a temporary password. This is why it's so simple. I want to give a user a simple password to change because he's going to change it right away. And you can see here that there's a check mark already. It says user must change the password at next login. The user must log off and then log on again for a change to take effect. So they're going to change it. As soon as I tell them, okay, your new password is Tuesday 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with capital T, they're going to be forced to change it right away. And hopefully to something way more secure. But this is what I like to do. It's up to you. Some places don't allow this according to the group policy, but this is what I do typically. If my company requires me to do something else or disables my ability to change this, then I'm going to use that. But this is what I like to do as it is. And I'm going to do a check mark here where it says unlock the user's account. So in case he is locked out, it's going to unlock him. I'm going to click OK. It says the password has been changed for Mike Moser. And I'm going to tell Mike, hello Mike, I have changed your password. Go ahead and type it in again. Or what I would actually say, go ahead and lock your computer like this. Lock your computer, Mike, and then do Control-Alt-Delete. And then type in your new password. And then it's going to force him to change the password at that point. And that should be good enough and should fix that issue with the, whatchamacallit, with Outlook. He should no longer get this Outlook pop-up at all. Because now, Outlook, since it's part of Windows operating system, once you have it installed, it becomes part of Windows operating system. It will detect the new password. And even if it doesn't, even if it comes up again, he'll know what the new password is and he can just type it in and you can guide him through this. What I also like to do is tell him to go ahead and reboot the computer afterwards. That way, it's going to ensure that everything in the background running, whether he has email open in the background or any other Microsoft products, including Office, if keep in mind, Outlook is part of Office. So if you have anything else running, you may have to close all of it in order for it to take effect. So I tell them, just reboot the computer. It's going to flush everything, you know. And that's the simple way of dealing with this. And I'm going to add external node here and say resolved issue by password reset. I'm going to keep it simple like this, and this will resolve this issue. I guarantee it. I'm going to close the ticket as completed. All right. Excellent. By the way, if you're still with me, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. One more ticket, guys. It's this one here. It says, I need help installing a printer. Very common one. Very good one. We're going to work on this one. I need help installing printer. Sorry, guys. I'm changing a little bit here because I'm getting a little tired. But we're going to, we're going to fight through. We're almost done here. I'm trying to install a printer, but it's not working. We're going to reply to the customer. Say, hello, my name is Irvin with help desk. What kind of printer are you trying to add? Local printer or network printer? Now this can be confusing to the user, to the customer, because what I'm actually trying to figure out is actually, are they at home? Are they working from home? Are they trying to add a local printer, or are they trying to add a network printer, which is actually in an office? But to them, network printer could also be a local printer. Sometimes they don't know, but that's okay. We're trying to find more information about it and see what's going on. But we can also say, can you please send me your PC name with, and you know what? Let's hold off on this part of it, because what they reply here next is going to be very crucial. So if they first reply and say, usually I like to be more proactive, but I don't want it to be too much for the user, because sometimes users can't, and this is not their fault necessarily. This is just how human mind works. They can't multitask. If I'm asking you too many things at once, it may be confusing. So I'm going to wait for them to reply to this, and they may say, well, it's my local printer at home, or it's printer at the office. Scenario number 1, local printer. Question number 2, are you allowed to install a printer, local printer, for somebody that works from home? This is another security issue. This has to be approved and allowed by your company. You should know this, or if you don't, ask a coworker, ask your manager whether you are allowed to install local printer for them, and I'll show you how you can do that. If it's a network printer, then that should be no problem. Some people are not allowed to print either, depending who they are. But chances are they are allowed to print on a network printer because it's at the office. There's there are recycle bins there that are security recycle bins. Chances are that will recycle sensitive material and all that stuff. Companies don't really like to actually have printers around because of security issues. So we got to be careful about this. We got to find this out. If possible, I would call them and talk to them. If not, I would find a faster way of actually asking multiple questions, like over IM and not necessarily over email. I would not handle this over email because there are more things that we need to find out. But in this case, let's pretend that they want to add a network printer, and then we're going to say after we get their reply, say okay. In that case, can you please send me the IP address of the printer you're trying to add. Let's do this. I can add the printer for you. However, I need your PC name to take control remotely. So you gotta word this the best way you can, because we're doing multiple things here and we're trying to get multiple pieces of information from them. And we're going to do this. So let's kind of go over it again. Okay, I can add the printer for you. However, I need your PC name to take control remotely. And can you please send me the IP address of the printer you're trying to add? So, of your PC remotely. So we need to know their PC name. And I didn't want to say, can you send me your PC name or IP address? Because I'm already asking for IP address for their printer. And I don't want there to be any confusion on the customer's part. I want them to give me PC name and the IP addresses of the printer. IP address of the printer trying to add. You see what I'm saying? Keep it as simple as possible, but trying to get as much information as you can as quickly as possible in a easy to understand manner. Once we get this information, we're going to go to their computer, and here we are at their computer again. We're again assuming that we're using the same computer name that we used throughout this whole lesson. And the way you would check to see what kind of printers they have installed, we're going to go to the search bar, and you can get to this through the control panel as well. But I'm going to say devices and printers. Here we go. Printers and scanners, devices and printers. We want to get to here, guys. This is where you can see device number, and I'll show you a different version of it, which was the typical one. But this is the what I call Mickey Mouse version of Windows 10 that shows you more a large letter font type of thing, where it simply shows you if there are any printers installed already, and they would all be here. All right, and then if it's not here, which we don't see one, we can simply click add a new one. So now it's looking for, what it's doing is searching for printers and scanners locally and on the network. And if it doesn't find one, we can simply click here, the printer, here I'm looking for, the printer that I want isn't listed. Other way of going to this here is control panel, devices and printers here. And we can see right away that it looks totally different than what we were looking at before. This is actually showing us the whole thing that's on here. It's showing us the whole thing that's connected to the computer, devices and printers. So every device, whether it's a USB or whatnot, or monitor, or the headset that we talked about earlier. And of course, if there are any printers, they will be listed here. But of course, there is a button. Guess where we need to go? We're going to click on the add printer. And this is the same thing we looked at earlier, but this is just how it looks like. That's how it used to look like before Windows 10, Mickey Mouse looking stuff, And they try to make everything look so pretty, and that just created multiple places for the same thing, which doesn't make sense to me. Why not just keep it the way it is, where it's just one place for one thing? Anyways, that's a different video. Okay, so it's not going to find anything. What I'm going to do is click the printer that I want isn't listed. So same thing we did earlier. And then here you can add the printer multiple ways, where it's a Bluetooth, wireless, local printer, blah, blah, blah. Select anything that you want. But in this case, we're going to select a network printer, which is going to be added using TCP IP address or host name or an IP address that we got from the customer. And here we're just going to type it in, for example, 168.2.1, whatever. It's whatever the static IP address is for that printer. It's going to have to be a static IP address because, it's a printer. It doesn't. We got to have a static IP address so everybody can connect to the same printer all the time. And then we're going to leave it here where it says query the printer and automatically select the driver to use. What that does it pings the printer and says, hey, I'm trying to add you, but do you have a driver? And then if it's like a more advanced or a newer printer, it's going to have that driver. It's going to automatically push it to the computer and it's going to install it. You know, same thing when you're adding a local printer, you may have to download the driver, install the driver, but then you would just simply search for the specific name of the printer. You know, once you click next, it may, if it doesn't find the driver, and it's going to bring you to, nothing's going to happen here, so I can't really show you this at this time. But what happens, it's going to say, okay, I found this IP address, I know it's a printer there, but which one is it? And then you go through a list that's available there, and you select which model, like for example, Xerox, blah, 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 and you select and you tell it which printer there is, that which type of printer that you're trying to connect. So if it doesn't query and download the driver automatically, you're going to have to ask the user, can you tell me the name and model of that printer? So that way you can get those drivers and install them properly. Once you do that, it's going to automatically set it as default, kind of like this. So if you see one like that, just make sure that it's set as default as the one that he or she wants, and then make sure it's set as default. See, you have that green circle with a check mark in the middle. Okay, and now we're going to add an external or internal note, I should say, added printer as requested. Irvin. And I'm going to close the ticket. And the last one we have there, remember, is the one that we're waiting to see if anything else is going on with that. So remember, this is the one we worked on earlier about, and there are no issues at the moment. And I will keep the ticket open for 24 hours in case it goes down again. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I don't know how long this is going to be. I'm suspecting about 2 hours. I appreciate you stopping by, watching, and I appreciate your nice comments. I appreciate your support, clicking the like button, sharing the video, telling your friends about me and all that. I can't express how much I appreciate that and how much I enjoy making these videos. This particular one was extra long a bit. This one is a little bit exhausting. I don't usually make videos this long, just from one. Usually I make from like one sitting. I usually make videos about half-hour long each tops, and but it's okay. I don't mind doing this because it's a special video, and I really wanted to make this particular video for you guys. If I didn't answer any of your questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll get to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much. Take care, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.